Welcome to the Pickens County Republican primary debate. This debate is designed to give our citizens a better understanding of our candidates for office. This time we'll go through our tax commissioner debate, and our candidates are Mr. Daniel Reeves. He's the current deputy tax commissioner, and he's worked at that position for almost 9 years. Ms. Tracy Chester. She is currently employed at the Pickens County Tax Office as the administrative specialist. For almost 5 years, she's been employed at Pickens County, and 9 years in total in the tax profession, combined with experience from Cherokee. Miss Amy Gibson. She has 20 years in the private sector in accounting, finance, and business management, and she is currently employed at Sutherland Nissan. So at this time, we will begin with our questions, and our first candidate to answer the first question will be candidate Daniel Reeves. Mr. Reeves, what experience do you have that prepared you to handle financial responsibilities that come with the position, particularly as we potentially face an economic downturn?
The experience that I have in the office is there's not many jobs in the office that I haven't done. Over the last several years, I've operated as a delinquent tax manager. One of the things that I do as the delinquent tax manager is I manage partial payment plans. So one of the things that we do is we offer payments to people to be able to pay their taxes easier or make it more accessible to people to where they're not hit with such a strain at one time. So that's one of the things that we do that helps the public so that we can assure that they're able to pay those taxes without, a disruption in their livelihood. So we try to help everybody as much as we can. One of the models that we have in the office is we want to save a home, not sell a home. So we offer that. So that's one of the things that we do as far as financially. I'm not the accountant on the job, but that's one of the things that I do is we set up payment plans. We have made it to where people can get their payments automatically drafted. So that is something that I manage every day as a delinquent tax manager, is that I oversee the entire partial payment process. I also oversee everything that has to do with the bankruptcy system, anything that has to do with anything delinquent. So anybody that's having an issue with their taxes and any problem that they're having as far as being able to pay those taxes, we try to make it to where individuals can come in and pay those without as much of a hardship.
Ms. Chester, same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir, if you would.
What experience do you have that prepared you to handle the financial responsibility that comes with the position, particularly as we potentially face an economic downturn?
The experience that I have with the Pickens County Tax Commissioner's Office along with Cherokee is almost 9 years. I also was employed with a finance company, so I was in charge of the finances and collections there as well. Another experience that I have was for a sanitation company, and I helped run the office. I also did their books, took in payments, and with us going into a hardship that you're saying, I have the want to help people in my heart, and I just know that I would do good for the community.
Ms. Gibson, same question.
The tax commissioner's office is the financial foundation for the county. It's and I think sometimes that gets overlooked in the importance that it has as the bedrock, the foundation of how we pay for our services, how we help our own citizens, how we pay for law enforcement officers or 911 operators. Now, the experience that I have is going in and balancing budgets, balancing books, making sure that the term accounting is to make sure that money is accounted for, and it is accounted for correctly. We've got to make sure that the foundation that we have, which is where are we at today, what money do we have, is it balanced correctly, is it accounted for, is it being collected properly, all of those things I have experience with in the past 20 years with accounting and finance. And so that's what I'm going to bring to the table in this office.
Any rebuttal? We'll move on to the next question. With this time, we'll begin with Ms. Chester. Question number 2. What skills or experience do you possess that would be beneficial to managing a team of people in the tax commissioner's office?
What experience I have with Cherokee and with Pickens County. I'm always there to help, no matter if it's my teammate, if it's a person walking through the door, I want to help them. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
That's all right. What skills or experience do you possess that would be beneficial to managing a team of people in the tax commissioner's office?
I just have to say my heart. That's what I possess. This is something that I want to do, something that I feel like that the Lord has actually led me to do. All through my years, I've been through different trials and tribulations. I have a lot of life experience and a lot of hands-on experience with the people. And I love this community and I love the people that come into the door. And I know in my heart that I have the experience and the knowledge that is needed to run this office.
Ms. Gibson?
I had taken classes at Chattahoochee Tech with, and other, Kennesaw State and some other places where you have HR management, you hire, you fire, you find the most competent people, the most qualified people. When you go into a situation, like I could be going into the tax commissioner's office, you evaluate. Now, I've done that for 5 years. I've trained, I have hired, I have fired, I've gone through the application process. I have trained other stores by phone on systems, standard operating procedure, financial system statements that we're looking at. So I've got a lot of experience with hiring, firing, business management, people management, HR management. And then there's the backside of that too, the HR, the taxes, your FICA, your compensation, your basically what you pay people. There's an art to it and there's a lot to know about it, and I've done that for about, I would say, 5 to 7 years.
Mr. Reeves?
I am currently, right now, in a management position in our office as the delinquent tax manager, also the deputy tax commissioner. I've been a pastor for 22 years. I've been in leadership position in every church that I've been involved with, served in supervisor positions in the past. And so I have worked on both sides of the spectrum in the tax commissioner's office. I've been a tag and title clerk. I worked on the property side of it. I've worked in the delinquent tax end of it. I've worked hand in hand with the current tax commissioner. I know both sides of the office. And so, like I said, right now I'm already serving in that capacity. I love my job. I love the people of this county. I have dedicated my life to serving God and to serving people. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would be great for this job, is that I'm already serving in a capacity to where we're helping people on a daily basis. We're helping them to keep their homes, to pay their taxes. We're involved in the things that are going on in their life. So, and like I said, I'm already doing that job right now as an assistant to the current tax commissioner. So I believe that I've got the skills in the office. I've got 3 years of training with the Carl Vinson Institute at the University of Georgia for tax officials. I've got 3 years at the Constitutional Officers of Georgia training for tax officials. I've got 4 years with DTSI, delinquent tax classes. I've got a lot of training behind me, but even more than that, I think my experience even trumps the classes and the training that I've been involved in almost every aspect of the office. So I know how the office runs. So that's why I feel that I have the leadership ability and skills to be able to do this office.
Any rebuttal? Hearing none, we'll go to the third question, and that will be for Ms. Gibson. What is the single biggest issue you see with the tax commissioner's office, and how would you improve it?
I would say that we don't have a clear accounting of our money. I think to ask the taxpayers to come in and pay property taxes and give them the assurance that we're going to make sure that their money is accounted for once they leave the office is something that we're missing. I think that there's two parts to the tax commissioner's office. There's the part where people come in and they do a 15 or 20-minute transaction and they go home. And then there's a secondary part to that, which is what happens after they leave, is the process to make sure the books are balanced, that we're not failing. I won't say that we're failing, but we're doing well in our audits. When people come in, do we know where we stand financially at that moment in time? Are our books correct and together? We owe our citizens here that are paying their property taxes, we owe them a really good 15 or 20-minute transaction visit. We should be nice to them. We should treat them well, just like Ms. Chester and Mr. Reeves say. We should be good to them because we're going to be there on their dime. Excuse me. But we also owe it to them to manage their money correctly and to make sure that every service that they expect is being paid for. Excuse me. That every service that they expect is being paid for. Our law enforcement officers are being paid. That we're making payroll for 911 operators, water departments, our parks and rec. So we've got to make sure, like I said in the very first question, the tax commissioner's office is the financial foundation for the county, and we owe it to our county and our citizens to make sure that their money is accounted for and it is accounted for correctly.
Ms. Chester, same question.
Well, there's a couple of different things that I would like to implement once elected. There is, I know it's hard for an individual to come in Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. So there is something that I would like to look at to help the citizens of this town. I would like to do either an extended day or Saturday hours, because like I said, it's not always easy for a person to come in Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Also, I would like for us to, we have just recently changed in June to a new tag system. And in that tag system, you have the capability of getting paperless billing, which would in turn save the county money. I know not everyone wants paperless billing, but I want it to be offered. And I also want to get with our vendor for property tax and have that as well, because we have a lot of people here in this county, over 30,000 people. And that's a lot of bills that go out. So the people that do want to implement the paperless billing would have an option to, which then in turn would also save the county money. There's a couple of other things that I would like to implement as well. I want the staff to work as a team. I want everybody to know every aspect of the job, from taking payments to when it's dispersed at the end of the day. And I want to oversee that. And I know I'm a hands-on person. I like to get in there and help work. I'm not one to delegate a job to you or to you. And each individual that comes in, citizens of this community, when they come in, I'm going to treat everyone equally, and not be biased, not show favoritism to anyone. I'm not going to allow one to be 5 years late on their taxes and put their house up for sale, and then have one that's 4 years or 7 years and not do anything with that. I want to be straight across the board. I want to set policies and procedures in place that everybody's treated fairly, and I do want to have that opportunity.
Mr. Reeves?
Can you read the question to me again, please?
What is the single biggest issue you see with the tax commissioner's office, and how would you improve it?
The single biggest issue I see with the tax commissioner's office, I mean, with any office, I mean, you're not going to agree with everything that goes on with anything that goes on. But there's some policies I want to see difference and procedures that happen differently. I want to see us get a kiosk in this county to be able to do after-hours transactions. I know it's been mentioned that somebody wondered about the cost of that. There's no cost to the county to have a kiosk put in the county. All they ask is that you get 600 transactions in a year. We get between 400 to 700 transactions in a week in the office. So I don't think that's an issue with it being there being enough transactions hit on that. I want to see be able to do in-house reimbursements to TABT, reassessments of the TABT. We want to be able to see city taxes be collected in office. I would like to see the city taxes people get one bill on their taxes. I would like for us to begin to collect city taxes. So it's for a one-stop shop. I'd like to create like an express line here in the office for simple transactions. So there's things like that that I want to see happen in the office. I want to be able to do a weekly, maybe a Facebook video to keep the county updated on what's going on in the tax commissioner's office, updates, changes, things like that, to keep the citizens knowing what's going on in our office. It's things like that. But the policies and procedures, I like to see some things, tightened up around the office, some different things like that. But overall, I think that we have a great office. We have a great staff. We have great customer service in our office. We get praised on a regular basis about how good our office is. So I think overall that we have a good office, and I'm pleased and thankful to be able to work for this office, because I think we have done a great service in this community.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Mr. Reeves. What is your experience, any rebuttal? I apologize.
I would like to say something,
Sure.
please. The kiosk, I actually spoke with the vendor of the kiosk. And what I was told, in order to have a 2-printer kiosk in this county, there would have to be 800 kids. And he stated that this program is ideally populated for 80,000 people or more. That he did not think it would be beneficial to Pickens County to have a kiosk here. So that is why I wanted to implement the extended day or the Saturday hours, so it would give the people an opportunity without costing the taxpayers any money. Because if you don't get those hits every single month, the county has to make up the difference.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Okay. Even Gilmer County, who actually has less people than we do, they are right now also seeking to do a kiosk in their county, because they feel that they can also get enough transactions to be able to maintain that machine. And they actually have less citizens in their county than we do. And as far as the Saturday hours, that's something that we even talked about back whenever Sharon was here. And the issue is anything like that also has to be approved by the commissioners. The commissioners have never been open to opening the doors on Saturday because, for one, we don't have our own building. And so we would be opening the building up to anybody that comes in. They can, just circulate through the building. And so it's never been on the table, because we talked about this 8 years ago. And so that has never been an option yet, to have extended Saturday hours. It would be nice to be able to do something like that, but as of yet, that has never been approved by the Board of Commissioners to be able to do that, because it creates a safety issue, being that you have a skeleton crew and you're the only people in the building with no other people being able to see what's going on.
Anybody else?
I can rebut that. I'm trying to figure out, with the new system that was implemented last year with the drive system, and they've made it very simple with online tag and title procedures. As a tag and title professional of 17 years under my belt, I really appreciate what drives can do, but I'm trying to they have put it now online, and I think COVID-19 really helped that along, that you can get your own plate online. Drives.georgia.gov, I believe is something to that effect. So I'm not really sure where the process or what the need for a kiosk would be, if we can do some of those services already through the Drives site online.
All right. Now, we'll go to the next question. Mr. Reeves, question number 4, or this will be our last question, and then we will begin with our closing remarks for each candidate. Question number 4, what is your experience with preparing or authorizing budgets?
What is my experience for preparing or authorizing budgets? I have not actually been involved a lot in the budget process. My role has been mostly the delinquent tax and the deputy tax commissioner. Mine has been mostly on the end of the property side. The tax commissioner himself has handled his own budget over the last several years. Like I said, but I've done a lot of study through the classes that we have on the budget. I've been to class on it. I've not set the budget, obviously, for our office in the tax commissioner's role. But like I said, I've been to class for it the last 3 years. I've had training in it. And so that's, basically what I have with that is the training to be able to do so. It's not something that I've done inside this office.
Ms. Chester, same question. What is your experience with preparing or authorizing budgets?
When I was employed with the sanitation company, I helped set their budget and made sure that the revenues and the expenditures and everything balanced at the end of the year. Also, I'm a mother of 4 kids. I run my household. I have to set a budget for myself, and I have to go by that to make our monthly bills. So, and like, I've also been to school at the Carl Vinson Institute and took classes there as well, on budgeting, supervisor classes and things of that nature. I'm very frugal. I'm very conscious on what I'm going to spend money on. So I'm not one that's going to waste the taxpayers' dollars. I'm going to be one that tries to save in every aspect, any way that I can. I'm a taxpayer myself, and I don't want to see our money wasted. I don't want to see our money abused. I don't want to see our money. I want our books to balance every month. I just want better for Pickens County.
Ms. Gibson?
I have over 5 years' experience actually working on a budget, expenditures, revenue. What are your forecasts? Are you forecasted to go over in payroll? Are you forecasted to come under in revenue? It's just something that you do. I've done it for 5, 6, 7 years. So you just have to know expenditures and revenue and make sure that you stay within your budget. But if you do have a time where you're out of budget, say on payroll, workman's comp, for example, then you want to find a way that maybe you can negate that over in another area. So there's ways to adjust a budget once you get in so that you aren't going to go over here. Maybe you can be under here. And so yes, I do have experience in doing that and looking at the numbers and financial statements and making sure that you can come out as close even as you possibly can at the end of the fiscal year.
That'll end our question session of the debate. Wait a minute. Anybody have any rebuttals? I apologize. That's your moderator's fault.
And I will say that, which I know that, they have the budgets out in the private sector and things like that. And I've set budgets in churches, being the pastor and things like that. And like Ms. Chester said, we have a personal budget. Government budget a lot of times is a little different because it's generally set by a different entity. Your budget is allowed by the commissioner's office. So the guidelines have to be set by what comes in through the governing authority. So I know it's a whole different setup than most other things. So I think it does take a little bit of experience in the government and with training and things like that to be able to accomplish that.
Anyone else? That'll conclude our question session now. So at this time, we'll just keep going in order that we had started at the beginning. We'll give each candidate time to explain to the citizens of the county why they're the best candidate for the job. And we'll begin with Ms. Chester.
Okay, I just want to thank Pickens for coming out, the Pickens County GOP for having this, and you for being the moderator. I'd like to thank y'all for being here as well, because this way it's given the community a vision. They can see who we are. I'm not a politician. I'm just like each one of you. This is just something that I feel in my heart that I'm led to do. I do have great aspects and things that I would like to put forth. I didn't mention earlier, and I should have mentioned, there's a prepayment law that was passed back in July of 2019. I would like to get with the commissioners and get a resolution started so we can start taking prepayments all throughout the year where you're not having to come up with that big amount at the end of the year. Hopefully that would help even on the delinquent side because you're taking in payments before. You're not having to wait until October to start taking the payments. I do have the knowledge, I have the will and the want to and the love for this community and my job. I do feel like that I'm the best candidate for this position. And I will always do what is right for you.
Ms. Gibson.
I touched on this earlier in a question about the tax commissioner's office being the financial foundation. And what you will see with successful businesses, successful families, successful churches, successful communities is it's built on a strong and solid foundation that's applicable across the board. I don't think that's where we are right now. And I think in order to get where we want to go, we're gonna have to go in, we're gonna have to drill down to the basics, really fix the cracks in our foundation. Because there are things that I'd like to do in this office. Ms. Chester touched on State Bill 216, which allows for prepayments. I would like to collectively work with the governing authority, which is our Board of Commissioners, and move our payment due date, which would and collectively work with them so that we're not paying 3 weeks before Christmas. I think that's just something that we can get to, we can make happen with the board, and I'm willing to work with any commission chairman that we have, whether it's Mr. Jones, Mr. Stansel, Mr. Shouse, it doesn't matter, any commission chairman and the board to get something like that done. But unfortunately, when you have cracks in your foundation and just the basics in the office, whether that be employment or employee issues, or whether you have an audit issue where you can't get your financials together, we can't comprehensively move into something such as changing the due date for your taxes. I mean, I think that would be a fantastic thing that would almost negate any partial payment if we can move that payment date out from 3 weeks before Christmas. So I think a lot of those points become moot when we can do that, but we can't move forward in a collective, comprehensive way unless we fix where we are, make sure that it's solid, and then move forward into something like that. There are so many changes that can be made and should be made, but you always got to clean up your house and get it in order before you can move forward. And that's what I'd like to do with this office.
Mr. Reeves?
All right. My journey began in this office back in 2011 as a tax and title clerk, back when I first started. And through that, I've worked in that area for 5 years. I moved up to the delinquent tax manager in 2016. I became the deputy tax commissioner in 2017. I became ex officio deputy sheriff in 2017. I believe I'm the most qualified person for this position and for this job. I have all the skills necessary to hit the ground running right now. I've been involved in the job. I love this job. I have a great family at home that supports me. I have a wonderful wife named Brandy. She is my rock. I have 4 wonderful kids that have all been that are all involved in something at the school, some kind of extracurricular. I have a great family that stands behind me. I've got a great staff here at work, but I believe that I have all the skills that are needed. I believe I've got the right vision for this office. I believe I've got the right tools to be able to do this job. There's not really much in this office that I haven't done. And so I believe that I have the leadership ability to be able to lead this office in the direction that it needs to go. I love the people of this county. I love my job. I love coming into this office every day and doing this job. And I believe that I'm the right person for the job, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each one of our candidates for coming as we invited you to come, and being very cordial to each other and being cordial throughout the issues. Thank you, No Pickens, for live streaming, and this will also be recorded later. If you had trouble actually picking this up on the live stream, it will be recorded, and the audio and video will probably be a little better. Thank you to the Pickens County Republican Party for sponsoring this event, and we do appreciate each one that had a hand in making this a success. So good day to you and good night. Thank you.